You're good.
Hey guys, it's Friday. Welcome to Friday with Springfield Leather. That's what
This is Filigree Friday.
It's Filigree Friday, right? Right, I keep forgetting
Yes,
that.
we have a new name for it. Yeah, everyone keeps talking about filigree. Everyone's kind of afraid of it. I can't say everyone. A lot of people are. There's really nothing to worry about. It's just something you've got to be careful with. There's a few things to remember. One of which is use a very, very sharp knife. Another is that everybody has to find their own way to do it, but I'm going to show you the way that I do it, or try to today.
Awesome.
What
do we got here?
Well, I've got a little field notes journal top that I've done.
What's some of these other things you've done, Denny?
How many field notes?
No, I'm gonna look at the other stuff.
We're going to look at some of this.
yeah.
So we've got a clutch kit here, or just our envelope clutch that Denny completely floral tooled and filigreed. And then we've got some fun belts that he's done. So it's just a really neat look. And you can put whatever you want behind the filigree. We've chosen a lot of our suede metallic leathers just to really make that pop.
Yeah, I love that. It's, what do they call it? Painted suede? Is that what we call it?
They all have different names.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I love that stuff because it's not real glossy, but boy, it has a lot of flash to it, and it looks
Sure.
good behind it.
And I bet it's easy to glue to also.
Yes, yes.
Because it doesn't have a finish on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
it's
we have all, guys, our metallic suede situation is really pretty incredible. We've got so many different variations, colors, prints.
I think that one's like Scribble or something like that. Rupture River, and then
Yeah. So all these are on our website. Sometimes we'll flash sale them every once in a while. I'll see some of these go up on flash sale. We've just got anything you could possibly want to inlay.
I haven't used the red yet.
you want to use it today?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, let's wait till after I get it to
You got red
get it
metallic
finished,
lace?
and then we'll look on it. Not metallic lace, I don't believe.
We just have the red.
Got red lace.
Okay.
But anyway, the main thing on filigree is you're just cutting out all the background areas of the tooling that you've done. Some people don't line it or back it with anything. You know, they just use it plain like that. They'll filigree it out, put it on their jeans for
Sure.
a belt. It looks all right. You know, but I like this stuff because it adds a little pizzazz to your project, and
I tell you what, these Western people, they like a little pizzazz.
they
like a little
they
bling.
call it bling. Yeah. I don't know if I did one of those bling buckles on this filigree
I
or
don't
not.
know if
We've
we've
got
got a
some
bling
buckles
buckle
that
over
are all
there.
jeweled and everything that would go good with a lot of these colors.
Yeah, these are just some fun ones.
But anyway, if I can get a close up here from Tony on this, I've already filigreed a big part of this out because if you watched me do this, you
We'd
would
be
all
here
be
all day.
bored. You would go to sleep, and this wouldn't do any good. But I've already got some of it done. Let's put it on this black background so you
yeah.
can see. So basically, this part is what I have left to do, and I'm going to try and show you the procedure that I use. The main thing is I use an X-Acto knife, and I buff it on a buffing wheel, but you can do it on a leather strop just the same, you know. The main thing is get that thing polished just like a piece of fine jewelry, and keep it polished. I'm not going to go out to the buffing wheel today because that would be a pretty long process, but I'll probably change knives 2 or 3 times because I've got,
Just to finish this quarter that we've got here?
yeah.
Okay.
And I've got 3 different knives here, and I've got them all polished up pretty nice. So let's just start with that. First off, a lot of people will try and actually slice through their leather, but I'm going to do this one large area right here. I'll just stick my knife in, and then I'll actually...
Denny, let's scooch over just a little bit. We're not quite.
Zoom out just a little bit.
Oh, there we go.
And then I'll actually pull the leather. And you have a lot more control over it if you actually pull the leather and not try to slice it with your knife.
So that blade, are you kind of sticking it into the board there?
Yeah, I'm sticking it all the way through the leather and into the boards. so I can cut it with one stroke. Another thing, if you've tooled your leather, make sure it is bone dry before you try to do this, because if it's the least bit, has the least little bit of moisture in it, it's gonna wad up and you aren't gonna get very good results out of it.
So you're just kind of walking.
Yeah, you just do whatever it takes to make it cut.
Because you definitely don't want to overcut.
You don't want to overcut, and you want to cut all the way through at one time. You don't want to go back and try to cut over what you've already done. Now right here, I'm just kind of finishing up these little tight corners.
So I see that you're going in with the blade from the backside instead of trying to get it with the tip there. You're going in and pushing towards your corner.
Right. A
Yeah.
lot of times your tip isn't quite sharp enough to get into a tight corner.
Yeah.
But this is the whole piece that I just cut out. It's a big one, isn't it? But that's the way it goes. But I'm just going to continue on here. See if I can cut all these little pieces out.
So we're just cutting out everything that you would have backgrounded.
When we, a week or so ago, when we talked about our drawing these designs, I said, see if you can make all of your background areas approximately the same size. And it would really be good if I could do that, but I haven't learned to do that yet. So it's a do as I say and not as I do deal. But another thing, when you're doing a filigree, pick out a design that doesn't have a lot of sharp points that just end up out in the middle of nowhere. Make it so everything's connected, because all of these, this is even questionable right here, because it'll move. This is going to be a book back, so you aren't going to have a lot of trouble. But if you're doing a belt and you have like a leaf tip that sticks out in the middle of your background and isn't connected to anything, it'll want to peel up eventually. So try and make like all these little chicken necks. They go to this flower and they aren't cut loose.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to be holding this down is some glue. Because you can't sew down all these, I guess
Right.
you could sew down all these tiny little edges.
Yeah, it would defeat the
But,
purpose of
yeah.
what you're doing. Though. This is supposed to be kind of free form.
So this would be the kind of the same process if you did it on a belt.
Exactly the same process.
So you're just going to for this, what the style that you're doing here is sandwiching a piece of suede between two pieces of veg tan.
Exactly. Yeah, sandwich. That's a good term for it. You're
I'm
hungry.
starting to get
aren't you?
hungry.
Where's your back piece, Denny?
What's that?
Are you just using just that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was thinking I was gonna back it with its blue.
Do that fun.
Which will show up pretty well.
Yeah, look at that.
I think.
I think you should use some of that red.
Well, we'll try it. We'll wait till after I get it antiqued and see which color you guys think.
See which one we like the
goes
best.
with it.
I think red.
Tony's set.
All right, Tony's made his vote. You've only got one vote, Tony.
Joe was asking, can you punch out tiny shapes with a clicker press?
Oh, sure you can.
I guess if you had dies to match the background space.
I'll tell you what, that would probably be a very expensive die to have a die made that would cut this out, wouldn't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, several $1,000s probably for a die that would have this many bends and punches in it.
I mean, I suppose if you wanted to do some filigree that you weren't tooling, just because when it comes to the tooling, all of your filigree shapes are going to change with your pattern. So buying dies wouldn't really be conducive in that instance. But if you just wanted to do something that was filigree that you could just put a fun back into, yeah, you could take some small shapes if you've got. I mean, you could use our earring shapes, for instance, and you could call that a filigree and then tool around it or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah,
Like,
you could, but an actual filigree, I don't think you could get the job done very well.
no, not this kind of situation. Well, this sure is fun, Denny.
Yeah, you're having a big time, aren't you? It's kind of boring to watch, probably. That's why I did the biggest part of this before we ever came in.
So if you had a design that you were going to do the whole time and say it was diamond shaped on a bracelet or something like that, and you're filigreeing the same process over and over, then it might be beneficial for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the backgrounding on this, Denny, how often is your backgrounding the exact same size? If you're not using a pattern.
Never.
Yeah.
I say not one of these pieces that he's cut out is the same shape.
Yeah, but if you'll notice, I'm really not moving my knife. I'm just sticking it in the board here. And that's another thing. You can use a poly board, or I could use this black Poundo board. It would work just about as well.
Oop, we got another one.
There goes another one. Main thing is don't get in a hurry and keep your knife sharp. If your knife starts to get hard to cut with, you need to strop it.
Yeah, you don't want to overcut these.
Yeah, and these little really sharp X-Acto blades, a lot of times if you try and turn the knife while it's stuck in there, you'll break the tip of it off.
Yeah.
And I've done that, and in a way, it's kind of beneficial because after you break the tip of it off, if you take it back to your buffer and sharpen it up good, it's a little sturdier after that because the tip's not quite as fine.
That tiny little weak spot, you got rid of it.
Right. And I think, yeah, this one's been broken off before. That's another thing. A lot of people will change blades every time they go to do something. I don't change my X-Acto knife very often at all. I just take them to the wheel or to the strop board and strop them up. And they'll last a long time. And if you try to use one straight out of the package, you'll probably be disappointed. You got to strop it the very first time you use it. I feel that way about almost every cutting tool that I ever used.
Yeah.
What would be the thickest weight of leather that you do this on, Denny?
That's something I meant to talk about.
Okay.
Thinner leather is easier to work with. You can do it with the saddle skirting if you want to. It's certainly a lot harder to cut, and an X-Acto knife probably wouldn't be the best tool to use then. Some people will use an actual filigree blade in their swivel knife, and I've tried that before and never had very good luck with it. But it could be just because I wasn't using it very well.
Huh. So that filigree, that pointed blade.
Yeah, filigree, there's an angled swivel knife blade and a filigree blade. And a real good filigree blade will probably be very thin and angled very, very steep. More like this shape of a blade than anything. But like I said, I've never had very good luck with it. So I resort to my little X-Acto knife.
I feel like what I'm learning from this is that you should charge a lot if you do filigree work for somebody.
You know, I hate to tell someone what to charge for their work, but I've seen really, someone who's really good at this, does it a lot. They'll charge $500 or $600 for a filigree belt.
Yeah.
And if you ever do one, you'll understand why.
Denny, people are asking about the orange Poundo board.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's custom.
Yeah. It's a Denny Lowe special.
I made that myself.
Gotta look at some of these.
You weren't in here, were you?
I wasn't. I feel like I'm missing out on the story.
Well,
People have been talking about belts, so I was gonna.
we were doing that shaving cream dye job the other day.
Yeah.
And there were she had 15 bottles of dye here. And she would open one up and use it and leave it there and then open another one. And I said, you know, this really makes me nervous. You've been around me in a bottle of dye before.
Yes.
I said, this really makes me nervous having this dye open. And they said, yeah, it'll be okay. And it was till right at the very end.
Till it wasn't.
And I reached across her and blop.
Yep. What did you dye that one time?
I was dyeing a pair of spur straps, if I remember
That's
right.
what it was. He sure did. He dyed those spur straps real good.
A whole bottle of dark brown dye. Dark brown.
I'm always really paranoid of that when I do my leather work at home because I have carpet on my floor where I do that. So that would be a bad day. I think you're at an edge. I don't know if we're getting close to the edge.
I'm pretty close. I've
getting
got
there. A couple
just
more
2 or
spots.
3 more little deals to do there.
Is everybody enjoying the filigree? Nice, relaxing morning.
Yeah.
This is like yoga meditation.
We should play some background music or something. I don't know what happened.
I'm not bored, you guys. I'm really involved here. There was one I didn't quite get cut in the right spot, but if your knife's sharp, you can go back and cut it better. I'm about done with this real boring stuff, you guys.
That's okay. We're patient.
There you go. Here's some of the dyeing work we did. Here's a piece you dumped orange on. And the camouflage piece.
Yeah, these came out really cool, guys. I'd never done any dyeing like this before either.
Here, let me move it to this camera.
You know, I very seldom have ever watched one of the videos that I'm in. But the other night after we did that one, I was home and my wife and I were watching television and I just started thumbing through my phone and that popped up.
Okay.
And I said, look at this.
Look at this funness.
And she watched the whole thing. It was an hour long or more. And she thought it was funny. I couldn't understand that.
Look at that's the camo
That's
one.
the camouflage one.
That's pretty cool. Oh, that's better.
He
Yeah,
doesn't make mistakes, he makes happy accidents.
exactly. We're all Bob Ross artists over here.
That's right. You are happy little flowers.
You can see on that next one, Liz, where you dumped the orange dye in the corner.
Oh yeah, little spill there. That's okay. It's retro, right?
Yeah.
How did we get these lines in it?
We taped it and then did the shaving cream.
Oh, fancy.
Where's those earrings at?
They're right here. So we've got these little guys. It's so awkward.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, this is really fun. I feel like this would be a good project for the kids.
It would. I'd never seen it. I'd never heard of it before. And
I've heard of doing like those bleached like cow skulls or whatever they do, and they dip them in the paint thingies, and they make this kind of a, what is that called? Anybody know?
Well, I'm sorry.
The cow skull like dipping, the hydro something. or
Oh,
other?
hydro dipping.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I've never seen.
Melissa's learning how to do it so we can do another video and doing the bubbles.
I don't suppose you have a thread burner in here, do you?
I do. Thread burners, aka lighters. We have really
Sometimes-
fancy thread burners.
Well, I mean,
Well, there's a reason. Can I tell them
Sure.
why we call them thread burners?
yeah, why we have to call them thread burners?
When we do a lot of business with the state and federal prison systems, and they can't have lighters there.
But they can have
By
thread
golly,
burners.
they can have thread burners.
So
We send them thread burners. And as far as I know, they've never burned anything down with them.
nope.
Have they?
You know, they really enjoy their leather craft, and they strive to make sure that they're keeping in line so that they can continue to do it.
So there you go. That's the back side of the belt. They were asking if they could
Oh.
see the back side of it. I assume that's what Angela was wanting. 7 p.m. in Finland. Kim is having a great Friday evening so far.
Nice. Thanks for joining us, Kim.
Yes.
What's the weather like in
Finland.
Finland?
Wow.
And then the other question was, Denny, this is close to the pattern that we did for the beginner tooling.
Close. This is a little more involved pattern.
it's not one that we have on there, but you could get a field note journal tooling pattern on the live series that we did. There's a link for it there
Yeah.
to get the PDF.
Nice.
You know, and you can come up with your own patterns.
We showed them how
I
to do
showed you
that.
guys how to do that.
We showed them how to do that.
All right.
And then we were going to give away a book for that Sheridan style carving.
As soon as they
Yeah.
come back in stock, guys, we are just waiting.
We've
on
been
our
waiting for
inventory.
before Christmas.
Things are a little slow right now.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get that stock in, when whatever video that is, we'll give the book away. So you guys will just have to watch every single one of them.
Kim said it's freaking cold.
All
Let's
right.
see, 5:20 in Scotland. Cold but no snow, says Josie.
Have I missed anything?
Let's see. You're probably better at catching this than I am.
I think I've got it all.
It looks good.
All right. Can we get a really, really close up?
Well, can you hold it up to the camera? Can you stand up and hold it up there? Just let it focus a little bit. There you
I
go.
don't know if you can even see it here, but everywhere I've cut, when you cut through this vegetable tan leather on the backside, a lot of times it'll leave a little fuzzy spot under your cuts. And a lot of people will try to burnish that out, and I'm sure you could with a lot of effort. But I'll use a thread burner on the backside
Oh, just
and
kind of.
just go over that, and you can singe those off. You don't want to just set it on fire. I should say, don't try this at home, folks. But I'm not going to.
Oh, you can see them kind of just melt away pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cleans it up really well.
Yeah, that looks good.
Perfect.
Anyway, all right, we've got our filigree actually done. The cut part is over, and I only used one knife. I'm
You sure did.
surprised because I used.
It was
I
nicely
probably
stropped.
sharpened about 4 or 5 times doing the rest of this. But anyway, I'll get rid of all the little pieces. As far as finish work, you can finish it any way you want to. I'm going to show you how I finish it with an antique finish. I'm going to use this Phoebe's Antique Gel, which I like a lot.
It's actually the vintage gels. I call it the antique gels as well, but if you look it up on our website, antique gel isn't going to get you anywhere. So try vintage gel if you're Googling on our website.
Yep. And then also, we should have everything. If you get to the antique stuff, and you can select on the side by brand.
Yeah. We're going to make sure we don't make a mess on the table.
Yeah.
Again.
Again. Okay.
Perfect.
First thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of neatfoot oil and just put a really light coat on it. I'm going to use a piece of shearling here to do this with. And I'm going to, like I said, just a nice light coat.
Man, I sure do love it when something's freshly neatsfoot oiled.
I do too.
It looks so good. That's probably my favorite part of leather working. I just wish it would stay like that forever.
When I was building saddles, I didn't feel like I could see what it looked like until I finally got to oil it,
Man, it just changes it so much.
doesn't it?
So much depth. Look how beautiful that is, guys. Herman oak leather.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it just, and the oil does 2 things. Number 1, it'll add some color just like we just saw, but number 2, it will actually lubricate the fibers on this vegetable tan leather, because vegetable tan leather has no
It's dry.
moisture of any sort in it. So,
It's been tanned and then hung to dry.
yeah.
So you gotta give it a little bit of love.
We had Herman Oak over here yesterday.
We sure did. Todd came over and spent some time with us. It was a great visit. We thoroughly enjoyed having him.
Yeah, I remember you were there when I went to
Yeah.
visit the tannery. The Herman Oak Tannery is something to behold, I'll tell you what.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So we got Illinois, California. I can't remember where Josh was from, but then the Netherlands, Finland, Scotland.
They love spending their evenings with us. This is perfect time for Europe, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then Joshua had an idea that we could do those carved rights that we have that you've made and had done. Maybe do a video on how to properly use
How
it.
to use those? That's a good idea.
Yep.
Okay, now, you can let this set for 2 hours or 2 days or 2
However.
minutes like we just have.
Okay.
And go to work on it. The only thing is right now is this is as dark as this leather is gonna be. It'll lighten back up
Right.
if we just leave it alone. But I'm gonna put a little heat to it and let this oil set just a little bit. That's not gonna take much. I just don't want any liquid to be on top. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do to it. Now I'm gonna take this Master's Quick Shine, which is just in a clear acrylic top coat. I'm gonna use it for a resist. And we've talked about a resist before, but a resist just keeps your dye or whatever, in this case antique stain, from actually penetrating the pores of the leather.
It's resisting the stain.
Yes, it's resisting.
Sometimes Denny gets spray happy in his little area over there with the quick shine, and you have to tell him to go outside because it's really too much.
If you notice though, I'm always in a real good mood after that. Okay, now I'm gonna dry this because if this is the least bit tacky, it's gonna ruin your job. But it won't take much to dry. If someone was talking to me on the phone, I'd say let it dry overnight.
Yeah.
But you can do this with a hair dryer. In reality, this is the way I always do it. Just don't blame me if it doesn't come out. Okay, that's dry enough.
Do you think we could hear that, Tony?
What's
The
that?
dry time?
Oh, say it again, Denny, just in case.
Just make sure that it's completely dry. It's not tacky at all. Just dry feeling.
Yeah. So if you don't have a hair dryer, or if you're worried about, the next process not going super well, Denny said let it sit overnight.
Yeah.
Then
just
make
let
this
it-
your last thing that you do for the evening, and then go to bed and come back to it the next day, and it'll be cured and good to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Now then, I'm gonna put on a pair of gloves for this.
Ooh, smart.
Atlanta,
smart guy.
Arizona, Indiana, Texas, Louisiana, Kentucky, Missouri, North Wales.
Got the whole world watching us.
No,
Okay. Now I'm just gonna take it.
Arkansas.
Now I'm just gonna take a dauber, and I'm gonna squirt some of this on here. And I use this pretty liberally. I don't skimp too much on it.
No, you sure don't.
Well, the thing is, if you don't get it down in all the little nooks and crannies and cuts, you aren't going to get a good job out of it. And I want it to get down in all those places that I filigreed, because this will actually color the edge.
That way you don't have that bright edge on the inside.
Yeah, you don't have a raw edge showing.
That makes sense.
But I'll work this around and make sure it's down in all the cuts of the design and all of the.
Denny, look, that looks kind of fun.
It is fun. You want to get your hands in it?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, that's done. Now you can let this set for 15 minutes or 15 seconds or whatever. It's ready to start wiping off. And I just take a paper towel and fold it. You don't want to scrub this and try to get all this stuff off. You just want to wipe it off of the top and leave leave all of your design with this antique in it.
That's the whole purpose of the
That's
antique.
the purpose of it.
Now I know I have the problem when I do the Denny. I like to scrub it.
Yeah, you like to scrub it. And I have to get on you about that, and I'm sorry, but I think you've learned.
Yeah, after you yelled at me the last time, hurt the only feeling I had left.
But this, if you see, I keep finding a clean spot on my paper towel.
Keep removing till you're happy.
Yeah, and I just keep wiping until I don't have any streaks left on the outside. Because I'm just wiping off the excess. Just off the surface. Now I'm going to move this out of the way. Get some of it off of the paper.
This is not the most eco-friendly process here with all your paper towel usage, but that's okay.
Yeah.
What color was that, Denny, that you used? Dark brown.
This is dark brown, yeah.
Yeah, dark brown.
And I use a lot of browns. Sometimes I'll use mahogany, which will give a little bit of a red tint to the project, but I really like the browns myself.
I've been using the Sheridan brown a little bit and the antique pinks, and I really enjoy. It's not dark at all, but it kind of gives you that just made saddle look when you use that Sheridan brown, and it's a nice look. You sure did get through all your filigree.
I did.
You did a good job.
Did.
It was a success.
Okay, now I'm gonna do one more step. I'm gonna take a piece of shearling here, because if you will notice, there's a lot of really wet spots in here in all those deep thumbprint marks, and I'm gonna wipe a little bit of that off, but I'm gonna be very gentle with this when I do it. There again, I'm not trying to get all the antique out of there. I'm just trying to kind of spread it around where it's even. I'm going to call that good.
So I think we talked about doing a video like this, Liz, but it's different styles of antiquing and coloring. Can we go over a little bit about that? Natasha was looking at doing it for the first time. Can you direct her in a direction?
Just doing some antique. So, I mean, once you've got your tooling done, you kind of just decide what color or what look you want it to have. And so, you know, if you want, say you had the background in there and you wanted the background to be a specific color, what you would do is you would take a paintbrush and you would paint whatever color dye you want onto the background.
Yeah, you would that's called a dyed background. You would actually have to use a small artist type brush.
Yeah, really small little paintbrush. You could paint the background with whatever dye color you wanted before you start resisting. Obviously, if you want the outside perimeter to be a specific color, probably not going to use a dauber in that instance. You'll use some sort of a brush as well. That way you're not getting it all over the place. Once you have everything dyed the color that you want it to be dyed, then you would do what Denny has done here. Either oil before you dye or after, it doesn't really matter. And then use your resist. Make sure you've got a good coat of resist on there and it's nice and dry before you start doing anything else. And then there's a whole bunch of different products that you can use to antique. So we've got the Phoebe's Vintage Gels, which is a product they came out with, I think just a year or so ago, and Denny's really been enjoying those. You've got the antique paste, the little paste containers that have been around probably since the beginning of time from Phoebe's. That's been an old staple for a lot of people, and you can use that. You can use a lot of the products that Kevin used in the video that we did a while ago for like the kids, the highlighter,
easy glow,
to do your antiquing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of endless options.
But it's something, until you start doing it, you aren't going to figure out what it's going to do.
Yeah.
You've got to do it over and over again.
And every piece of leather is a little different.
Yeah, and every time you do it, you'll be proud of what you've done.
Yeah.
But you'll say, okay, next time I'm going to do this or that, you know.
Right.
It'll all work out. All right, I've got this antiqued. Now I'm going to take the hairdryer to it.
Dry it again.
There again, if you're doing this at home and not sure about it, let it dry overnight. But I'm just going to dry this so I don't have any wet spots showing up here. But all the antique does is give your leather a false fatigue.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it look like it's antique. That's the idea behind it. Like, I don't know if any of you know what antique silver looks like compared to polished silver. I think they think something like sulfur of urine, I think, is what they call the product that they use to antique silver. This gives it a completely different look. All right, I'm going to call that good.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
hold it right there, Denny.
There we go.
Just turn it towards me a little bit.
yeah. Well, anyway,
So they were talking about when you first put it on there, and some of the people were doing it for the first time. They said you put it on there, it looks black, and like you've just totally messed it up.
that's right. That's what I tell people when they're here and I'm showing them how to do it. I said, make it look like you've ruined it.
It's like it scared him the first time.
Yeah.
It's like I did all this tooling and I've messed it all up.
Yeah, but that's what this stuff is for. It's the resist, and it makes your leather will show a little color, more so than before you've antiqued it. But what that is, the antique settles in all those little hair cells that it's on there, and it makes it look like you've actually colored the leather, but it hasn't penetrated at all.
Right.
But now that that's dry, I'm going to go over it with one more coat of this Quick Shine. That'll seal it.
Is there a certain heat setting that you put it on? On high heat,
As far
high?
as the
Hair
hair
dryer?
dryer, no. Just however you dry your hair, I guess.
But if your leather starts to melt, you have it too
Yeah,
hot.
I wouldn't use a heat gun. I'll
Yeah.
say that would be too hot because you aren't trying to cook it. You're just trying to dry the moisture out.
Could you
of
just push the little cool button if you're concerned
it.
about
Is
it?
that what that is?
Yeah, this button is the cool button.
I guess you could.
That way you're just blowing cool air.
Yeah.
Because you just
Yeah,
just
you
ride
could.
it.
Just air.
Yeah, just air.
Or put it under a fan.
Yeah.
People do that. I've seen people do that.
So some of the stuff that you were talking before you turn your fan on or your hair dryer on, what was some of the other things? Do you remember what you were talking about when you had the hair dryer? Kind of gets hard to hear you with over the hair dryer.
Give me a hint.
I can't remember.
Yes.
The antique paste and the antique gel, other than the thickness, the viscosity of them, can you tell any
They
difference?
work the same. You use them the same way. You just smear it on there and get it down in all the cuts. And
But nothing really different you
yeah,
can tell.
the antique paste, you've got to dig it out of the jar like peanut butter and just slather it on there. The antique gel, and that's the one thing that I like about this vintage gel,
It's hard.
is you can just squirt it on there and it's ready to use. You don't have to dig it out. It's still messy.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's still messy.
I will say the one thing that I've noticed is kind of the biggest difference if you're talking about not necessarily antiquing, because they do the same job basically antiquing, but if you're actually wanting to stain the leather using one of these products, like if you're not resisting and you want to stain it, the paste has a splotchier tone. Like if you were to rub it over everything, it doesn't cover, where the vintage gels like covers and will leave a uniform kind of antique look on the leather. So if you're wanting to actually stain the leather using the gel instead of resisting, the gel is going to be better than the paste for that application.
Probably so.
Yeah. But for this, it's the same.
Using tan coat, any concerns that you would have using tan coat
No.
or bag coat?
That'll
Oh, let's talk about spraying a finish versus wiping on a finish at this point.
okay. Yes, tan coat to bag coat, they'll all work pretty much the same as far as the resist goes. The main thing is get it on there, cover everything good, and let it dry completely before you put your antique paste or vintage gel on.
It's really hard.
I'm trying to learn here. But anyway, after you've done that and put your antiquing on, if you use a wipe on finish, it's gonna make your antique paste or gel, it'll make it wash. You'll
Smear.
be wiping a lot of it back off. So I like to use the spray on. I used to use the wipe on all the time and couldn't figure out why I wasn't looking as pretty as I thought it ought to, you know. But if you use a spray on, you don't have to touch it. It's not gonna
Exactly.
get all that stuff off.
So if you have an airbrush, you can spray whatever finish you want through your airbrush. But if you don't have that capability, is getting, the Master's Quick Shine or the Sadillac or I don't know, there's another one. There's
Several. Probably.
But the first application when you resist, you can use a wipe-on finish for that. So like Sheridan RTC is a pretty good resist through Be Natural, I think, or Phoebe's makes a resist, or you can use, one of these sprays. But that you can wipe on and it's fine.
Yeah, and those are all called a resist.
Resist, yeah.
And that's what they're used for, as the resist, not as the sealer top coat.
Right.
Clear lac and saddle lac.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will work.
Yeah.
They'll work on top and bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resist and sealer. But, and don't get me wrong, you can use a wipe on
You just
if
really
you
want to
want
let
to,
that antique dry.
but you will see what it does when you try it.
Yeah.
Denny was saying something about silver.
Oh, right. When you antiquing silver.
Yeah. Well, and I have done this, but only under strict guidance before. As far as the antiquing silver, you use a substance called sulfur of urine. I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. And it's a dried stuff, and you put it with, I don't think you put it with water. Might be vinegar.
I took a class with this. I should know this.
Yeah.
I've done this before too.
But anyway, you mix it with whatever liquid and it will sit there and smoke and throw up fumes and everything. But you can dip your silver in it and it will tarnish it.
Yeah.
That's what it actually does. It tarnishes it. And then you can take it to a buffing wheel and buff all that off. And it does just what this does. It leaves the dark tarnish parts down in all the cuts and engraving parts and stuff. And
Nice bright top.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice bright silver on the highlights. Yeah.
Denny, will you hold up we'll put a piece of shearling on there where the really wet spot that you had, what he was asking.
Now,
When you had the vintage gel there and then you wiped it off with a piece of shearling.
Oh, yeah, I just used a piece of sheep shearling. And you can use that artificial fleece too, that, what are the Codell?
Codell, yeah.
Yeah, that'll work too. The sheepskin is wool. I like it better. It just seems to work a little better, but it will all work.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be too specific.
I will, little hint, sometimes when Denny's ran out of his little bag of shearling pieces and he has to make new ones, he doesn't like using it like full thickness of the hair. So he'll sit over there trimming it with his little scissors, cut it all up into little pieces, and then trim the hair down real short so it's not all puffy, and then get all the excess out of it. Because you don't want to have those little shearling floofs.
Like that.
Like that. We don't want those. We don't want those little
Shearling flute.
shearling floofs.
Technical terms here.
Anyways, so this is a little
Anyway.
hint.
Let me dry this just a little bit. Because
All right, no
it's still
talking
a
while
little
you
bit
dry.
wet. This will just take a minute.
We're gonna look at your belt.
Okay.
Show them the ends where the adjustments are.
What you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'll notice on some of them I didn't even filigree down there where the holes are. Yeah, those tapered ones, I didn't filigree them where the holes are.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit careful there with the belt tip ends and the filigree situation.
Liver of sulfur.
That's what it is.
Liver of sulfur.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think you
Thanks,
can
Carl.
use cat urine to patina. I remember that. I think that's what it is.
Okay, now we're ready to do this.
Oh, we gotta.
Okay, you guys gotta vote.
Hey,
Red.
everybody. Red versus blue.
You gotta show us this.
If anybody plays any video games, they might have just got that one.
All right, give us a close up here.
Oh, hang on. There we go.
All right, there's the blue. Don't look at the surrounding area.
Sorry.
And there's the red.
I got the other way. I
We
still
could
say
have-
red.
we could have.
Let's see, there's one vote for
We
blue.
could do red and blue. We could do a halves and halves.
Oh,
we
do I
can't.
have-
Denny says no. He vetoed that.
We have 2 votes for blue. I'm waiting for them to come in. So shearling, we have shearling wool packs on our website. Just type in
Yeah.
shearling and it'll pop up there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you don't have to buy one of the $100 rugs.
no.
You know, when I was building saddles, when you line a saddle with a piece of sheepskin, you're always left with a shoulder.
And
You know, a
Let's
piece
see,
of leather
1,
this big
2,
around.
Oh, yeah.
3.
And so I always had plenty of scrap because you can line things with it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that's not a real usable piece to a saddle maker. So always had plenty of it. And if you have a saddle shop in your area, you might even hit them up. And
What about What about that other blue we got over there?
Man,
With
we're
the
just making
squiggles
it
on it.
complicated.
Yeah.
I know everybody's saying blue, but now there's been a couple red.
Tony is just upset that he's not winning, guys.
I know. Wow, they are definitely blowing up blue pops. Well, that doesn't look too bad either.
It doesn't look too bad, but there's a lot of black in here.
Yeah.
Will you go? Let's show while they keep voting. I'm gonna go to camera one here. Will you show the suede, the metallic suedes?
And it's just,
They were asking what it was.
oh, what's
So on our website, if you go to shop now, leather.
they're all sold by the square foot, so you can buy as much or as little as you want. They're a double butt cut, so they're
Double
pretty
butt cut.
nice, like squarish pieces. You're not gonna get anything super long, but like a good decent length. So as long as
This
you're,
piece here has been cut. This has
I
only
think
got
so.
half of a piece.
or maybe a quarter of a piece. That looks like a half of a butt.
They're really nice though. They're really drapey.
Yeah.
They aren't. There's no stiffness to them at all. You know.
Make a
and-
cape out of this thing. Pull it, Kevin.
Nice.
Right? Look at that.
So you can find all these. Shop now, leather, chrome tan, suede.
Wait. Yeah. Yeah, these are just a lot of fun. They're good accents. They're great for earrings.
I just really like them for this filigree because
Yeah.
they are so bright. You can use any metallic. A lot of people use just a plain metallic leather for to back their filigree with, and that looks good too. A lot of people will just use a different color of plain leather.
Sure.
But boy, these things, if you're wanting to do showing
snaily.
off, I mean, this stuff works.
Oh, what about the silver that you were holding, Denny?
This,
I don't like this one.
Here,
Yeah.
put that.
It's really a lot of silver.
yeah.
I think that's called crackle.
It's this is it right here, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, that's my head. Sorry, guys.
Pretty close to it. There's a belt with that in it. It's real shiny. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about that, and it's got a lot of rainbow iridescence to it.
All right, the first blue wins.
Blue wins.
Tony's
Whatever,
gonna have to
Denny.
take his loss.
Whatever, Denny.
Hey,
That one is Mystic Python. Is what blue that is.
okay. Now everybody says, "Well, how do you glue that on there?" Well, I'm going to show you how I do it.
That was a question. Do you glue it
let
on
me-
the? Do you glue it on the back? The
you
back
fo-
of your backer piece?
Stick with me here, folks.
All right.
I'm about to tell you.
All right.
All right, I'm just going to use some spray adhesive, whatever brand you desire. I've turned this finished piece over upside down, right? I'm just going to spray this on here. Give it a good coat. Now, I'm going to get it out of the way here,
Right?
and then I'm going to get this paper out of the way.
You want to be careful now that you've sprayed that you don't.
Yeah, because this stuff gets all over everything. If you touch it, it's going to be on you.
Perfect.
Now, I'm going to put this shiny side up. Set this on here. That way I didn't have to touch the lining leather. Didn't have to touch the backside.
Well, Denny, that looked easy.
It is easy. It's very simple.
Leave it right there for a second. Show me that first, and I gotta move this other stuff out of the way.
You want me to show them a brand name?
That's okay. It's just they're gonna look at it. Super
This is
77.
3M Super 77.
There you go. All right, you're good.
Super exciting. You can get it at Lowe's
Yeah.
or Home Depot or Walmart.
Or over here across the street at the hardware store. But any of that spray adhesive will work. But the thing is, spray it on the backside, and then just make sure you get it centered over there. And now to trim it, and I always, if you'll notice, this is extra big.
It's a little, yeah.
That's so I can trim it off. And I'm just going to take this utility knife, just trim right along this edge.
For those of you who have never tried to match up two pieces of leather that are the same size, gluing them together, that is not a fun endeavor. So always cut your lining a little bit larger. That way, once you get it all glued together, then you can cut it to the size of the top piece.
Right. And I'm going to lace the edges of this. I'm not going to stitch it. If you're going to stitch it, you've got to take quite a bit of care in making your edges match up.
You can take it to the sander later.
Yeah, you can take it to a sander, but then you've got to, like you said, sand them, and then you've got to burnish your edges.
Yep.
You can see how
For
polished
something
your
like
blade
this,
is.
I like a laced edge because it just gives it a pretty finished look.
You're cutting along that on this close-up shot there, and you can see the reflection of the
blade.
because you got it so polished up.
Look at that.
Anyway, there we go. Let's put it on this white and see if it shows up. Yeah,
Woo!
there we go.
Yeah, look at that. That sure is blingy.
I don't know what color I'm going to lace this with. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
And another thing, on this, I'm not gonna put another lining on the inside of this. There are 2 pockets that go in here. But on the belts, I did what I just did just now, but then I lined the backside of them with another piece of leather, just to cover that with.
Now, Denny, on the belts, did you go all the way to the edge with your suede, or did you cut it inside?
You can go all the way to the edge. If you had a bell knife skiver, if you skive that edge, it would make it nice.
Yeah.
Or you can go just a little bit shy of the edge, like an 1/8 inch away from an 1.5 inch belt. If you used like 1 1/4 inch piece of leather,
Sure.
you know, and it depends on how wide your border is too. You've got to make sure
Right.
that you.
You got to catch that suede
Yeah.
in the stitch.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is that all she wrote?
That's all she wrote.
We've had some suggestions for dark brown lace, maybe some blue lace.
You could. We could do.
Blue lace might be kind of
turquoise.
nice. Yeah.
We've been kind of blingy lately.
Yeah. I love to use that kangaroo lace on this kind of stuff, and we've got a lot of different colors of it. So yeah, we'll see if I can find some pretty turquoise or something.
We'll find
like
something
that.
fun.
Yeah, and it might be a giveaway at some point here in the future.
Guys, what do you think?
Looks really cool.
Came out pretty good.
Looks
Okay.
like stained glass.
Yeah.
Josh said he was trimming leather like that the other day on a gunsling and slipped and had to get stitches in his knuckle.
Whoops.
Well,
Yeah.
It happens.
we've had people here use a utility knife, and they'll hold their ruler down and then cut their thumb
Just-
halfway off.
Yep, you just lose some skin there on the side.
Just remember, workman's comp does not cover stupid.
Show the edge of this again. They were asking how close you're able to stitch to the edge.
Okay, I've got this. I remember how wide I make the borders on my belts, and this is 3/16.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you at least cover that part that you've got filigreed. You've got to
if I
be
can hold it
wider
up
than
there.
that.
There it is.
Yeah, you've just got to be wider than your border is.
Then a
It
nice edge
doesn't
on it.
necessarily have to even go under your stitch line.
Sure.
Because your stitch, you're going to cement it like we just
Right.
did, and then your stitch line with your other liner is going to hold it in place.
So,
Okay.
Denny, I was looking at the edge of that. It looks like maybe on the belt, the suede is not all the way to the edge.
No, it's
No.
not.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
You want to be at least as wide as your border is, but you don't want to be at. If you can help it, you don't want to go out here because
It's just not
that'll
going to
make
finish
the
as
edge
nice.
Yeah, it'll make it look thick and
Yeah.
and it won't burnish it quite near as nice.
That'd be a tight fit to get it just not at the border, but not.
Yeah,
Gonna have
you
to do a-
you just got to be careful when you cement it on.
Yeah.
You know, and when you cement this part on, it's a lot easier than no. You don't have to be as careful because it's going to be wide anyway.
So you're going to oversize the back of the belt
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Okay.
just like we did
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
You'll oversize it.
And then you'll trim it down. And then just make sure you got a really good coat of glue on there. so everything sticks together real well. So
Next Wednesday, we're gonna sew some of the stuff we have together. I think Terry from the sewing department's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Talk about some tips and tricks with the class 20. I think is what we're gonna be using. Maybe we'll drag a 26 in here. We'll see.
Terry's the one.
What do you want to do on Friday, Denny?
What were some of the suggestions we had?
Chaps.
No.
Start on
not
chaps.
this Friday. Well, we could.
It'd be a week. It'd be a week from
could.
today. We could do series number 1 or the what do we call them? Craft rights.
Oh, the
Carve
carve
rights.
rights.
Carve rights.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a pretty simple
Yeah,
one.
we can do that one.
Carve rights.
Carve rights and give me a week to get set up for the shaps.
All right.
We'll make a pair of shotgun chaps.
What about a pair
Are
of
you gonna
chaps for my
make-
daughter?
Are you gonna make Rusty a pair of chaps?
I've already started. He wants chainsaw chaps.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
They're chaps.
Okay.
Well, if you were gonna put, say you were gonna put a back when you do the back like the belt, then what part do you glue? When you go to,
After you've got this part on, if you're gonna line this part, you just glue the whole thing.
just
And
with
you
that-
know, I wouldn't use spray adhesive for
No,
that.
contact cement.
I would use contact cement and just brush it on.
Yeah.
But the reason I used this spray adhesive on this is because you can just set this down and let it settle on its own. You don't have to position it.
Well, and if you were to wipe on the contact cement to the filigree, you're gonna get it in all the holes. Like
Right.
it's gonna, but like, and then you're gonna have to clean all the holes out of the cement. So you use the spray because it really is the only thing that's gonna work in this
Well,
situation.
plus the contact cement has to
Go on both sides.
to tack up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it tacks up, then it's not going to stick to this part.
Exactly.
You know.
And you don't have to glue your suede in very specific sections. That would
Right.
be terrible.
And that's what everybody's concerned about is how do I glue all those little tiny pieces and mark them all to glue them?
No.
You don't.
Right.
so one more time, the Super 77 we sprayed where?
On the back of the tool project,
On the
veg. On the veg.
filigree.
the
Spray that.
unfinished filigreed part.
That way your suede isn't tacky all the way
Right.
across.
Your suede gets no cement on it until you stick the filigreed piece on it.
Is everybody clear? Got that?
Any other questions? Are we good? They all love it. They said it was beautiful.
All right.
Okay. Well, we will see you Wednesday with Terry doing some sewing on a class 20, and then we'll be back on Friday doing some carve rights.
All right.
Have a good day, guys. Have a good weekend.